Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome. This timer doesn't need to be on yet because I'm just up here to vamp a little bit to get people to come in here so they'll think everything is started. How's it going so far for y'all, everybody? Yeah, don't stop having your conversation because of me. That's no problem. Just continue. It's fine. It's totally fine. This isn't even the official part of it yet, so you're good. Totally fine. So, how's it been going? Somebody tell me about your experience so far. Thumbs up back here. Interesting. Interesting is like the worst, like passive-aggressive review you can give to something. You know this, right? Like if your wife is like she cooked and you're like, this food is interesting, right? Is it that kind of interesting, or was actually the literal, you've been interested in what people had to say? Give or take some of them, I know, but there's a lot of technical terminologies. Everybody following? Are we all up to speed? Want me to break down what I've learned? I've learned that 3% of the attackers are murdered, so we don't have to worry about that. It's very low odds that, so if you do get attacked and abducted because of your crypto bragging, you got a 97% chance of not being murdered. So don't let that make your day be bad if you do get kidnapped or something. And I was like, I don't know if these people know that I have abduction jokes. So I was gonna tell my abduction jokes to the people who came back early, if that's okay. My 13-year-old, they just believed me about not stopping the conversation. It's cool, like this passive aggression didn't work on them, but it's okay. But my 13-year-old daughter didn't, she thinks I'm too overprotective of her as a dad, like I'm a helicopter dad maybe, because I wouldn't let her and 5 of her 13-year-old friends go to the state fair in South Carolina by themselves. She's like, Dad, you need to let us go to the state fair. I was like, honey, you need to understand, if you were ever to be taken, Daddy doesn't have like a special set of skills. I mean, I would run after you hard, honey, for like a block and then pass out in a ditch or something. I would tweet about it, but nobody reads that, algorithms. We would pray about it a lot. Your mother and I would pray about it a lot. We would. We would look into that milk carton thing, for sure. But then, honey, you know what we would do? We would just move on. Was that too far? That was too far for the child abduction jokes here for the Litecoin conference? I didn't know. I mean, I realize child abduction jokes aren't like everybody's favorite, but that's kind of the space I'm working in now. Clean, corporate, 9 a.m. Thursday, Litecoin Summit, appropriate child abduction jokes. It's like my thing. You were abducted when you were a kid, so you're offended by that? Well, obviously, you're in the 97%, not in the 3%. Anybody want to volunteer to abduct this guy now? It's like from the front row at least. Are you the next speaker? Are you the next moderator? Okay, cool. So you are, hold on, don't say it, Matt. You're Matt? Okay, cool. That makes your disrespect of my talking even worse, but that's fine. That's fine. I'm going to sit on the front row and talk during yours. That's fine. It's okay. Actually, what I'm going to do is go in the back and ignore you altogether, probably. But, so it's filling in. It's a little bit filling in. If you're wondering, I'm just vamping now. We haven't officially started back yet. I'm just up here to kind of make it seem like we've started back, so you'll hustle in. Feel like I'm missing out on Marty's amazingness. Take it in. This is all the amazingness you're going to get. I did an entire conference last weekend, whole day, with my fly down, and no one told me. So if you've seen me check every now and then, that's why. It's not a normal mannerism, but I'm a little paranoid. So I've checked a couple times. I've learned techniques how to do it without being noticed. I kind of just do this. Okay, we're good. I've gotten good at it. Sometimes I do that. Oh, never mind. Okay. Yeah, my wife hates the child abduction joke. She's like, Marty, are you pro child abduction? I'm like, what? That's ridiculous. I'm anti-child abduction, as everyone should be. I mean, I got paid to tell that child abduction joke just now. So technically today, that was a pro anti-child abduction joke. Professional anti-child abduction joke, but I am anti-child abduction. Other comedians think that's my funniest joke in my act. So it's kind of a pro anti-child abduction joke. Shakespeare would want me to tell that joke in iambic pentameter because he's anti-prose. My prose pro anti child abduction joke. That was enough for her. She's out. She is offended. She is walking out on the child abduction material. Mark Twain would be fine with my joke because he was pro-pros, my pros, pro anti-child abduction joke. How many of these you want, Matt? How many of these you want me to do? One more? I wasn't sure if I should do the child abduction material at the Litecoin conference because I wasn't sure if it would be apropos. Boo. That's the length I will go to tell a dad joke. Bad puns. This is cool. 3 more minutes or so? Oh, I can do an hour. Y'all want me to do an hour? Are we waiting on somebody? Okay, cool. How about some shenanigans? This is enough people to tell my shenanigans material to. I've been married 31 years, the same woman. She's my soulmate. She's awesome. AshPash333 on Instagram if you want to check her out. She's beautiful. She's awesome. And every now and then you know you're with your soulmate because during the shenanigans, you make eye contact and you say out loud at the same time the same thing. Like the other night, we were in the middle of it, and we looked right at each other, met each other's eyes, and we both, at the same time, were like, you want to quit? Like, I could quit. You don't have to quit. I could quit if you wanted to quit. You want to quit? I'm fine with it, but I suggest what would make this better is a nap, like an 8-hour nap, and we could just finish this in the morning. Foreplay at 50, if you're wondering. That's what you have to look forward to, young people. And my wife has never turned me down on the offer to quit or the offer to finish in the morning. We have a good marriage. But we meet with younger couples and have dinner at our house like monthly with some younger couples that we're friends with. And those kids like to brag about their shenanigans. And they're like, yeah, my wife and I, like, you know, behind their wife's back, they're like, my wife and I were like 45 minutes last weekend. And I was like, okay, well, that's good. Wait till you're 50, because I've started counting the time from when you start to all the way to when I finish. So I was like, yeah, wait till you're 50. I did 17 hours last week, so you get really good at it when you're 50. My wife's gone through the change. Anybody here gone through the change yet? Menopause? Y'all ready? Okay, good. The menopause jokes are going to have to wait. We're going to have to wait for the menopause jokes. Come on up here. This is a panel about the self-custody trends panel. So after the child abduction jokes, the menopause jokes, and the shenanigans jokes, we're going to transition seamlessly to self-custody trends panel and more blockchain wonder. This is Edge's Paul Puey. Is that right, Puey? Puey. Paul Puey. Paul Puey. Wei Zhou. Richard Zhou. Zhou is right. Zhou. And Houston Morgan. Or is Morgan the more traditional pronunciation? Okay, all right. I just wanted to have equal opportunity to mispronounce the white people. All right. Is that everybody? And Matt Moore, the guy that kept interrupting me. Okay, there we go.
I was not abducted. Everybody was looking for me. I was actually in the front row, so we're good to start. Excited about this panel. Before we get started, though, this is going to be about self-custody, and it's about the industry changing the UX for broader adoption, improving upon things. And so we're going to discuss about self-custody trends. But before we get started, I want each and every one of you to kind of go down the line, introduce yourself, and tell them who you are. You can be quick about it, but we're going to give each question about a minute. If each one of you are going to respond. If you don't want to respond to the question, that's perfectly fine too. So I'll go ahead and start. I'm Matt. I host a radio show and podcast focused on cryptocurrency in Oklahoma City, and I'll hand it off to him.
So this is this is the best question. So I want to answer. So my name is Richard. So I'm representing Ballet, which is the cold storage. We self-custody cold storage with no chips, no components, and we made it in 2019 in Vegas. So this is the 5th time I attend a Litecoin conference. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Sweet. My name is Houston Morgan. I'm the head of marketing at ShapeShift. ShapeShift is a multi-chain DEX aggregator where you can get anything to Bitcoin, anything, and Litecoin. Coincidentally, we're here today, founded in 2014 by Eric Voorhees, decentralized into a DAO in 2021. So we've been down it up for about 4 or 5 years now. Happy to be here.
Hey guys, my name is Zhou. I'm the CEO for Coins. We're the largest licensed exchange and wallet in the Philippines, and then we're also expanding outside of the Philippines to Thailand, Brazil, and then also into Africa as well. So covering the emerging markets.
Hello, everyone. My name is Puey. I'm CEO and co-founder of Edge. We are a self-custody, very privacy-focused trading wallet with support for Litecoin, Bitcoin, and dozens of other chains.
All right, first question on deck, and it's going to be a good one here because we all know that old habits die hard, and I think a lot of us in this room are big proponents of self-custody, personal sovereignty, but with the ETFs coming on board and with banks now being given permission to offer cryptocurrency services and products, what are your thoughts on the future habits of self-custody? Because let's be honest, a lot of people who get in still keep their stuff on exchanges. Now their bank is going to allow them to buy crypto using their online portal. Where do you guys see habits going in the future? And you guys can go in any order you want.
Okay, this is gonna be very controversial, so I'll start out with that being said. I think people, not everyone needs to take self-custody, and that's a very controversial take to say, but I'm just gonna say it. Some people are perfectly fine, like, giving up that ownership to other people. They're perfectly fine giving up that idea of self-custodial, permissionless finance, whatever. They don't care. They just want to go spend their coins when they want. They want to have exposure to some of the upside. They want to have some the safety and protection and the insurance of, you know, a bank that they have FDIC regulated, you know, up to $300,000. And, you know, I think you said old habits die hard. You know, people who take self-custody are the people who are drawn to the values and the ethos of what actually functionally crypto does, right? If you're interested in the value accrual, if you're interested in number go up technology, you know, maybe you're not interested in the actual functionality of taking self-custody. And that is, again, totally fine. And it's very controversial to say on a panel about self-custody, but like I think that's the reality of where we see the future going in the next 20 years. Like that's just my take on that.
Next.
Yeah. So, I think ETF is good. It's one of the investment ways. So people are getting to invest in cryptocurrencies, but it's not represented as ownership. And for banks, so they provide custody service, but it's very complicated for them to implement it based on that their current system, which need to follow with AML certain transaction monitoring. So it's very hard for them to doing that. So store the crypto custody in central institute is an exchange like Coinbase or Kraken or other licensed exchange. But later on, the crypto volume is very high, and personally holding the crypto limit is lower and lower. So I think self-custody is one of the way they keep the cryptocurrencies and by themselves. So it's not impact any in the future for self-custody. Well, yeah, which I think. Yeah.
So I've got 2 points. One, I do agree with you, Houston, that a lot of people have the habits that die hard and they're used to what is simple and easy. That is the North Star for all of us building self-custody. The North Star is TradFi. It's the UX of TradFi. It's what people are used to. It's what they've been dealing with their Robinhood accounts. So for those of us building in self-custody, that should be what we're aiming to achieve. But second, I do disagree that people that care only about number go up should not care about self-custody, or that it's less important to them. Number go up relies on one of the core fundamental values of cryptocurrency, which is knowing the supply and how much of the supply exists. We trusted banks with gold, right? And with that trust came the devaluing of it because it no longer had as much gold backed in the bank as the IOUs for it. Right? 1971 depegged the dollar from gold. What's to say that this does not happen with Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies if we entirely trust custodial services? Might we already be there today where the number of IOUs exceeds the amount of Bitcoin and Litecoin and Ethereum and everything else out there? So if you care about number go up, self-custody actually is a key part of that because it ensures one of the core value propositions, which is a very known supply curve. So for those of you that do care about number go up, which is, let's face it, all of us in this room, it's okay, then yes, self-custody your coins.
Yeah, I think I have a different take on this, actually. I actually think, if you look at all these, traditional financial institutions coming into our space, one of the risks that's going to arise is actually confiscation of assets. Like if it's not, it's like, so that's why I think it's really important, because you start, like, I think we haven't seen it yet, or we've seen it like in some forms where like, you can buy Bitcoin or buy whatever, but then you can't withdraw it because there's going to be a lot more of these services. And then I would recommend people just be like, don't what's the point? What's the point of buying something if you can't take it with you, right? That's the whole point of why we got into this space in the first place, right? So I think that's just something we have to be really, really cognizant of in terms of like all these TradFi guys coming in. And then it's going to be, every country is going to have their rules, but then at the end of the day, these are regulated financial institutions, and they still have to listen to their regulators of what happens, right? That's why I think like it's really important to have the option of being able to self-custody or move the assets off these regulated platforms, right? So if the platform doesn't allow you to withdraw, I think we're still in this phase where we're used to it, but I think there's going to be I think you're starting to maybe see the hints of it in Europe, where the financial institutions are going to put limitations on how much you can withdraw, what are the, like, who can you withdraw it to, all of these things that did not exist, say, like a couple years ago. So I think the freedom that we've had, I think the last 10 years may not reflect the freedom in the future. That's why I think self-custody is key, because that's the whole point.
So if self-custody is key, we'll move on to the next subject here, which is user interface and experience with a lot of wallets, because one of the things that is a hurdle for many people is the education and how to use the technology of a wallet. So what can we do as an industry to better enhance the user experience in order to encourage more self-custody adoption?
I'm gonna go with the controversial take again, just right out the gate. And not to be that guy, but I think, and this is not a knock at anyone who's building wallets. ShapeShift has a wallet. I think wallets fundamentally are terrible. They're like the worst thing that happened to crypto. They're, like, generally speaking, sort of confusing. The standards, I was talking to Paul about this actually, like standards even at which you can scan a QR code to get an address off of a wallet to then send to an app to do a transaction. Every wallet has their own different implementation, and they all try to standardize it, and there's no standard. And so what you're left with is this very fragmented user experience where you could be an expert at Phantom Wallet, but the moment you try to use it, a different wallet or a platform that doesn't read Phantom Wallet specifically well, you're cooked. Cooked, if for the boomers, that means you're fucked, right? You're absolutely, you're done. And so the solution, and this is something that we're building over at ShapeShift, and this is not like a product sale, this is what I genuinely think the future is a human language interface, right? Where you can bring any wallet, connect any wallet you want. Screw the interfaces, right? The wallet should be a great place to take self-custody. It should be a great interface to take ownership of your assets, but when you want to interact with them, grandma should be able to say, I want to buy Bitcoin, I want to buy 0.25 Litecoin. With my point whatever Bitcoin, builds the transaction, it reviews the security of it, it tells you in human language what the heck's going on, and you hit the button and it says send, right? Because UIs are different from wallet to wallet, the standards are different. It's crazy, and I think the ultimate, it doesn't exist yet, but the ultimate interface for interfacing with crypto is in human language. It's the best way we can communicate with each other. That's the best way that we can interface as humans, is functionally having a conversation, not with buttons, not with drag and drop sliders or selecting chains. It's too much. That's too much. And so TLDR, human language, that's the ultimate interface for the future of self-custody.
Yeah, I think it's I think there's going to be hardware and software solutions for all of these things, and I think where the wallets or the interface that's going to change is just like how you currently interact with money, right? You have your savings account, you have your checkings account, and then you have your vault, right? And then you have your whatever. I think there's going to be specialized wallets or specialized vehicles that serves all of these purposes. Just like right now, if you have a Web3, if you want to interact with Web3 applications, you're not going to link it to your vault, right? You're not even going to link it to your, savings account. You probably link it to your checkings account, right? That's sort of the wallet that you kind of use. So just you're going to have different purposes, and it's just one of those things that you kind of have to learn, right? But the thing is that because just right now, right? I remember during the NFT days, people had to download MetaMask because that's the only thing that they had to do to go buy that ape that was pumping, right? It's just sort of these use cases create habits, and then but the thing is that once people get their wallet hacked because that was their cold storage wallet or that was their open wallet. I just think there's going to be all of these. I don't think confusion is an issue. I just think that you got to put it out there into the market, and then you got to let it run, and then the best wins.
Oh, Houston, I'm going to contradict a little bit. There's this great meme from a few years ago where Jeff Bezos was talking to Alexa and said, "Hey, Alexa, buy me some milk at Whole Foods." And then Alexa said, "Buying Whole Foods." So it is a good interface to be able to talk in human language, but human language is very imprecise. It's full of different ways of saying things and different cultures interpreting words in different ways. So no question about it, like the chatbot and AI have helped us interface with a computer, but at the end of the day, you need something a bit more precise, which is the UI that we build. So whether it's to confirm the transaction, to know what's available, it's always going to be a bit of a blend, right? And I don't know that that's necessarily a unique solution to driving self-custody. That's what you mentioned, actually, the part I agree with is that's the trend for just about all apps, with a gigantic privacy compromise. I have to say that, unfortunately. But I think that's a trend for all apps. Specific to self-custody, I'll reiterate what I mentioned earlier about making it as similar to existing financial apps as we have. If existing financial apps are ones that you talk to but have some UI, then great, make it like that. And the biggest barrier, I would say, is key management. And that is the one single differentiator between self-custody and custodial. And making key management feel like what we already do for financial apps is one of the key things to bridge that gap between the two. And there's a few other subtle things. Chains make it really difficult. Chains that you have to pay gas fee in this asset versus that asset, and you're on half a dozen different layer 2s for Ethereum. Those things the wallet can't fix easily. And so that's the call on the protocol developers. For all of you that might be more considered a protocol developer, give us at the user interface level an easier time when you're developing these things. But those are where I think we ideally should focus to bring broader adoption of self-custody.
Yeah, sorry. So what I'm thinking that the UI interface. So 6 years ago, I talked to Bobby about the store the Bitcoin. So he teach me how to use a Ledger wallet. So I'm trying to set up use at least 1 hour. Well, the story is to set up it. I need to record the passphrase and then write down. And the second step is I wipe the device and use the passphrase to recover back and make sure that I'm writing the correct words. Then after that, I store the Bitcoin inside. So it costs 1 hour. So I talked to Bobby and I said, let's do an easy way to store the Bitcoin, and you don't need even has a technical background to understand those things. So we did Ballet cold storage. So this is Litecoin, and there's a Litecoin address on it. You just scan address, you can store your Litecoin directly without any apps. So that's what we're doing. Thank you.
Well, thank you, guys. I know a big contested idea around wallets can often be KYC and AML. I'm a big proponent of wallets and having the ability to not have to share personal information. I know we've had cases around regulators concerning like the Samurai case, or even with the EU by the year 2027, I believe, they want to get rid of the anonymous wallets. So how is we as an industry can make sure that wallet providers, wallets in general, can avoid having to collect that information? I know we have open source wallets that can get around some of these things, but even the in-wallet swaps and trades, which I'm a big fan of, I always have been, but I just don't want to see a world where wallet developers, wallet users have to present personal information just to use a wallet.
So I think, I'm surprised, Houston, you didn't dive into this, but DEXs. So obviously, using a decentralized exchange, nearly impossible to get KYC'd. Growing that ecosystem, integrating of decentralized exchanges into wallets and other services, providing liquidity, which lowers the price, which makes those services much more compelling and competitive with centralized exchanges. Any aspect of contributing to the decentralized exchange ecosystem helps drive adoption of DEXs, which are the zero KYC that you're looking for, Matthew. So there's that piece. And then from the viewpoint of regulators trying to squash, whether it be crypto as a whole or self-custody, I mean, the number one prevention is use and utility. If there are 1 billion, 2 billion of us that are using these products, for a country or region to squash it is only basically shooting themselves in the foot. So I can't help but think that that is easily the biggest. When we talk about decentralization and more nodes and more mining, I can't help but think that utility and use is actually a bigger shield against regulators than any of kind of the normal rhetoric of crypto.
I thank you for teeing that up for me. I was trying to think of a very good response, and I think going back to our earlier point of in this discussion was habits, right? We're so used to going to Google, signing in, and giving them our first, our last name, our recovery phone number, our email, our mother's maiden name as a recovery password. People are fundamentally so used to. You were just talking about the way to set up a Bitcoin wallet, right? You have to get your 12 words, and you have to re-upload the wallet after wiping it. It's complicated, and you have to remember your address. Some people don't want to do that, and there's this idea of can't versus won't. ShapeShift fundamentally, is an on-chain DEX. We will never KYC. Will never take people's information, and we force them to transact exclusively on-chain. For some users, then this is where back to the earlier point in this discussion, don't want to do that. They want to log in with their Google account, and it just loads all their information in, and they want to buy Bitcoin and Litecoin, and they're happy to do that, and I will support them in that journey. But for the people who want to take that next step, fundamentally making that connection stage easier and more accessible, where someone can just go and connect any wallet. It doesn't matter, again, going back to the fundamental standard of how to connect a wallet to any interface, making that as easy as possible helps improve the idea of you don't have to KYC to trade. You don't have to KYC to send crypto. You don't have to KYC or give up any personally identifiable information to do anything on-chain. Fundamentally, that's the reason why it's on-chain. It's numbers, right? It's not letters. It's not an email account. It's not a picture of your photo ID. You functionally don't need that. You shouldn't need that to do crypto. So it comes back down to standards and making that very, very, very easy to people.
Yeah, so for AML KYC, I'm very familiar with that. So I negotiated with China government in 2016 and 2017 to has a license trading in China. So KYC is meaning know your customer. It's tie your personal information with the account of institute, so that in case you forgot that, so you can provide your ID documents to verify that this is you. And AML is normally to do, it's for the company, it's not for individual, it's for anti-money laundering, that they don't want you money laundering in their platform. So I think so that's why we did this wallet, and they don't even need you register email, you don't need to account, you just buy the product, you just get a product, you download the app, then you can use instantly. So this is the key of the self-custody and simple and decentralized. Yeah.
Wait, sorry, I had another question. But why? Why do we not trust people to take care of themselves? Why do we feel the need to babysit people and hold their hands to use this technology? And maybe someone else.
I think because you kind of want to swim in a clean swimming pool. I think that's the whole point of it. It's like KYC and running like a centralized exchange in a regulated business, where you actually you're mandatorily forcing people to KYC to come on. But what you have to be careful on are actually people KYCing with fake IDs. It's actually it's your responsibility as a regulated business to keep that swimming pool clean, right? Because you don't want dirty people and dirty money and scammers in your platform or using your platform for illicit purposes. So I actually think KYC at the end of the day is a necessary evil to get to a sort of to make sure you have a clean swimming pool. And I think that's sort of the important thing that sort of I think a lot of us here kind of forget about, because for our exchange in the Philippines, we have bad people wanting to move money through our ecosystem, and I think you're going to have that across the board. But the thing is as a responsible citizen, you don't want bad people to use your platform. You don't want scammers. You don't want these pick-pushing people to basically move USDT through your platform. Right, and I think that's something that, I don't know, maybe it's on the other side. It's you kill a lot of the, it sounds like a buzzkill to sort of the freedom aspects of it, but there is also the other side of the coin that you sort of have to consider, right? And I do think from a regulatory perspective, I think, where KYC is going to be, it's also about the practicality and the enforcement of it. Where the enforcement is going to come as actually wherever our industry has touch points with the traditional fiat money, I think that's where the KYCs and the regulation is going to come, right? If you can exist in a pure crypto to crypto world, then you can actually sort of get away from it, right? So I think that's.
Unfortunately, we are out of time, but I've enjoyed this conversation. So thank you, gentlemen, for joining us for this panel. All right.
Thank you.